The sun was barely peeking over the horizon when Jacob Lawson rode into the trading post on the outskirts of Wyoming Territory. He was a cowboy, toughened by the frontier, his life defined by endless cattle drives, dusty trails, and silent nights under a blanket of stars. But that day, he was troubled. He'd returned from a long haul and had just sold his herd. Money jingled in his pocket, but none of it brought him peace. His mind was elsewhere. Inside the trading post, the usual rough crowd gathered: miners, trappers, a few settlers trading goods. Near the counter, a commotion stirred. Two men, both drunk, were arguing with an older native man, his face lined with age but eyes sharp with dignity. Between them stood a girl, no older than 14. She was thin, her clothes torn, and her gaze fixed on the ground as if wishing to disappear altogether. The argument was about money. The men were trying to trade the girl, like she was an animal or a tool. Jacob stopped, his jaw clenched. He'd seen cruelty before, but this was different. Something about the girl, her silence, her hidden tears, cut through him. Without thinking much, he stepped forward. "How much?" he asked, voice steady. The men, surprised, turned to him. $2, one spat. "You want her? Take her. Worthless if you ask me." Jacob didn't hesitate. He pulled $2 from his pocket and tossed them onto the counter. The men snatched the money and staggered out, not sparing another glance. The native elder looked at Jacob, eyes sharp, filled with a mix of recognition and sorrow. "You think you bought her?" the elder said softly. Jacob hesitated. "I bought her freedom." He turned to the girl. "You're free now," he said gently. But she didn't respond. Her eyes were lifeless, her spirit hollowed out by trauma. Jacob's heart twisted. He knew freedom was just a word, it needed safety, healing, and trust to mean something. He took her outside, guiding her calmly. She didn't resist. "What's your name?" he asked. She didn't answer. The elder who'd watched silently stepped forward. "Her name is Nia," he said. "She's from the Lakota, taken by those men months ago. She hasn't spoken since." Jacob nodded, the weight of what he'd just done settling in. He'd bought a child's life for $2. But what now? He took her with him to his ranch, miles away from town. It was a small place, just a wooden cabin, a few acres of land, and a barn. It wasn't much, but it was peaceful. For days, Nia didn't speak. She barely ate. Jacob didn't push. He treated her like a guest, gave her space, and spoke only when necessary, hoping one day she'd feel safe enough to respond. He fixed up a small room for her. Every morning, he'd leave food and water by the door. In the evenings, he'd sit by the fireplace and tell stories about the land, the stars, the cattle drives, hoping she'd find comfort in the sound of his voice. As the days turned into weeks, something changed. One morning, Jacob noticed the empty plate, and a small bouquet of wildflowers placed on the kitchen table. He smiled. It was a silent thank you. And a sign. Spring came, and so did progress. Nia began helping around the ranch, feeding chickens, bringing water, even brushing down the horses. Jacob didn't ask her to, she chose to. One evening, as the sun set over the horizon in a blaze of orange and red, he heard a soft sound. Nia was humming a Lakota song. Her voice was fragile, but it carried a piece of her spirit, one that was slowly returning. Then one night, everything changed. Jacob was sleeping when dogs began barking wildly. He jumped to his feet and grabbed his rifle. Before he could step outside, men on horseback surrounded the ranch, armed, rowdy, and looking for trouble. Jacob recognized one of them. The same drunk from the trading post. "You think you can steal what's ours?" the man shouted. "That girl's worth more than $2 to the right buyer." Jacob's blood ran cold. He could see Nia peeking through the window, fear returning to her eyes. He stepped outside. "She's not yours," he said. "And she's not for sale." The men dismounted. Guns lifted. Jacob was outnumbered, trapped. But he didn't back down. If he was going to die, he'd do it protecting her. Just then, a whooping cry split the night. Torches lit the darkness. From the woods, they came, native warriors, silent as shadows. They surrounded the ranch. The men who'd threatened Jacob panicked, unable to understand what was happening. They fled into the night, abandoning their horses. One of the warriors stepped forward. It was the elder from the trading post, Nia's grandfather. Behind him walked Nia, no longer hiding, no longer afraid. "She sent a message," the elder said softly. "In her songs. We heard her." Jacob lowered his rifle. He understood. Nia had found her voice. And her people had found her. The elder approached Jacob. You gave her shelter. You gave her dignity. Not many men would do that. Jacob shook his head. I just did what was right. The elder nodded. And that is why you are different. Nia stepped forward. For the first time, she spoke, her voice soft but steady. Thank you, Jacob. He swallowed hard. She wasn't the same silent girl he'd met. She was stronger now, ready to return to her people. The warriors prepared to leave, and Nia walked alongside her grandfather. Then she paused and turned back. In her hand was a small woven bracelet, made of dried grass and beads. She offered it to Jacob. To remember, she said. Jacob took it, humbled. As the group disappeared into the night, Jacob stood at the edge of his ranch, the bracelet in his hand, the wind stirring the tall grass. He watched the stars glimmer above, feeling something he hadn't felt in a long time, peace. He'd spent $2 to save a life. But in return, he'd earned something priceless, a moment of truth, a reminder of humanity, and the memory of a girl who'd found her voice again. And for Jacob Lawson, that was more than enough.